Protect your DNA. BioPQQ can promote formation of new mitochondria. Infowarsstore.com.
We're going to have our live coverage of the Commander-in-Chief Forum. It's not a debate. They're going to have Hillary and Donald on the same stage, but not at the same time. We've got training wheels for Hillary because she's got the big event where she's going to have to speak live and actually take questions from the press, presumably. Tonight, they're going to be taking a few questions from Matt Lauer and from the audience. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And, of course, for the last 2 days, Donald Trump has been talking about this very issue, about national security, about the military, about cybersecurity. I want to read to you something that he said in this speech today because I think it exactly nails it. He said, let's look back at the Middle East at the very beginning of 2009 before Hillary Clinton became Secretary of State. Libya was stable. Syria was under control. Egypt was ruled by a secular president who was an ally of the United States. Iraq was experiencing a reduction in violence. The group that would become what we now call ISIS was close to being extinguished. Iran was being choked off by economic sanctions. Fast forward today, what have we gotten from Obama and Clinton? Of course, that's a rhetorical question because we all know what the Middle East has erupted to. But it's interesting to look back at this and think about it, the fact that that was the situation just as recently as 2009. She wants to run on her experience. That is her experience, setting the Middle East on fire, creating radical Islamic extremists everywhere, overthrowing regimes. Why? For the bankers, okay? That's what we now know from the emails.
As a naval flight officer, I held a top secret, sensitive, compartmentalized information clearance, and that provided me access to materials and information highly sensitive to our warfighting capabilities. Had I communicated this information not following prescribed protocols, I would have been prosecuted and imprisoned.
That's right.
You didn't even know what the C stood for.
Such as myself, who were and are entrusted with America's most sensitive information, to have any confidence in your leadership as president, when you clearly corrupted our national security.
Clearly.
Wow.
Well, I appreciate
I'm shocked they let him ask that.
Thank you for asking me that.
Yeah.
Let me try to make the distinctions that I think are
looks like it's been a rough night for her. So
I had a concussion, but I'm totally fine.
First, as I said to Matt, you know and I know, classified material is designated. It is marked. There is a header so that.
Yeah, evidently she doesn't know that because she said that she didn't know what the C stood for.
It was designated, it was marked, and when it did have that header on it, she instructed her aides to just go ahead and remove it so he could easily fax it to her.
You know, she should have just cited her brain damage and said that she couldn't see. First she cited it and said she didn't remember.
I did not recall.
Now she needs to say, well, I had head trauma. I was blinded when I couldn't see it.
there were no headers. There was no.
Everybody else.
That's a lie. That's a lie.
Everybody else's fault.
There's a lie.
The first guy that came up on stage actually asked a question. He goes, hey, I was in the military. I had a classification. If I would have done the exact same thing as you, I would be in jail. And Hillary came back and told Matt Lauer, looked him right in the eyes, and said, she never sent or received emails with classified headers on them.
I can't believe she's still telling that lie.
No, she still said it again. That's how she opened up the conversation.
She began lying immediately.
And we know that she knows what the C means. I've been through that. I had a secret clearance. And even if it didn't have that on it, you understand as the Secretary of State at your position that you know that the materials, the information that you're handling, especially when she was talking about how she was handling it over in Pakistan and other countries, that's sensitive material. You're not going over there talking about teddy bears and candy and Coca-Colas. You're talking about national security issues in front of other people that potentially don't like us whatsoever and that are mad about many things. And you're passing these emails along. You're passing this information along on unsecured servers. You have these unsecured servers brought up at your home, and you're passing things along with the C on it in quotations, and you don't know what that means. That's a bold-faced lie. And she sat there and she looked at that guy and goes, well, I respect your service and all, but I didn't do anything wrong. Get the hell out of here.
And look, she destroyed those emails after she was subpoenaed.
Yes.
This was after the subpoena.
We now
remember
know that.
there was two different committees. There was two different committees. There was the House Oversight Committee and there was the Benghazi Committee. Both of them said that they wanted access to her private servers. They told her, hand them over and do not destroy them in the process. And what did she do? She ordered those hard drives to be scrubbed And she even got a software program called BleachBit, which is designed to prevent recovery of evidence. And then, as we all know, she even went as far as smashing the Blackberries with a hammer.
Yesterday came out 88 former high-level military people have come out and endorsed Trump now. More people in the military support
the
Trump.
vast majority.
Right.
I support Trump. Everybody I've talked to, black, white, Asian, Hispanic, who is in the military, support Trump for a few, like a small amount that I found out that liked Bernie Sanders, but now are going to go for Trump. I mean, you can't have a commander-in-chief who is not going to be held to the same standards that you, a soldier with a classified, like secret, top secret, other than, whatever. If you're not going to be held to the same standard, then why in the hell should I be? And I guarantee you, if I was a soldier and I walked in and I sent emails on an unsecured server or whatever like that, an email, I would be thrown in jail. And I guarantee you, the more heat's going to come out on Hillary Clinton, and she's going to have a fall guy, someone who's going to take the blunt and blame it on that person. They're going to get set up in some nice, fancy resort that's somewhat of a prison, and that guy will end up dead.
So, assuming we do defeat ISIS, what next? What is your plan for the region to ensure that a group like them doesn't just come back?
Joe, I mean, part of the problem that we've had is we go in, we defeat somebody, and then we don't know what we're doing after that. I mean, we lose it. Like, as an example, you look at Iraq, what happened, how badly that was handled. And then when President Obama took over, likewise, it was a disaster. It was actually somewhat stable. I don't think could ever be very stable.
I would
It's a
say
war
don't
we should
hand
have
them
never gone
weapons
into in the
once you
first place.
leave and drop
But he came in
weapons
and
to the
said,
enemy.
when we go
That's-
out, and he took everybody
Destabilize and then leave weapons.
And really,
Yeah, that
Libya was
never
very
helps.
stable. Libya was on its way to they were going to stabilize all of Africa, but it wasn't in the interest of the bankers to have that happen, and it's not in the interest of the bankers to let Syria be stable.
And that's what it all comes down to, David.
Well, and you talk about the banks. What did Libya and Iraq have in common? No central bank. What do they have now? Central bank. What does Syria not have? Central bank. What are they going to have if they get the Assad regime to fall, like Hillary Clinton would like? A central bank.
And another strategic placemat on the grand chessboard.
Yeah, just another domino to fall in the Graham chess game. Absolutely.
Well,
But that's why they can't have Trump, because Trump is going to annihilate their entire plan if he gets in.
It's all about
Absolutely.
destroying a nation so that you can rebuild it for the bankers, okay?
Yeah.
And that's what we've seen going throughout the Middle East. That's been the policy of the Bushes and the Clintons and the Obamas, and that's what he pointed out in his speech. They go in and they destroy this country, and they don't have anything to replace it with.
Well, think about this dynamic. We have a modern-day media that is desperate for ratings, right? I mean, they'll do anything that turns the dial. And we have potentially the hottest debate ever that you could have here between Trump and Clinton. And what do? They try to avoid it. So think about this. The mainstream media, which will exploit anything, run with any false narrative, do anything, race bait, whatever they can do in order to push that dial up, but they won't get Trump and Hillary on the stage at the same time, which I think all of us know would be the top-rated event of the year, except maybe other than like the big football games.
Right.
A Trump-Hillary debate would turn the dials for the ratings, doesn't matter what station it's on, unprecedented levels, but they won't do it. That shows you how protective they are of Hillary, that they would even put aside their agenda to push ratings through the roof just to protect Hillary. That's what you're seeing here.
Well, look at how long it's been since she's had a press conference and taken any questions, okay? It was 270 some odd days. Then they said, all right, well, she's going to let the press get on the plane and roll questions to her with oranges or whatever, okay? They've asked her softball questions. It's absolutely ridiculous. We started talking about this a couple of weeks ago when it was 260 some odd days it had been since she'd had a press conference and taken questions from the press as if they would ask her anything of any substance. They're going to only ask her softball questions, but she's afraid even of that. And so she's standing around there, and they're clustered around her very timidly, fawning over her, and somebody says something about kind of a halfway question, and she is interacting with somebody that's got some chocolates, and she doesn't answer to him. She just looks at him and says, have a chocolate. You know, that's the arrogance of this woman. And, of course, now they're saying, well, now she's taking questions from the press. It's not a press conference.
Right.
She's afraid of that. She's afraid of these debates. Her people do not want these debates. They're trying to keep this at 3. She was afraid of debating Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders did not want to come after her. He was handling her with kid gloves. He was the guy who said, I'm sick and tired of hearing about your damn emails, okay? Except that they were conspiring at the time, and he didn't want to confront her on the fact that the Democrat National committee was conspiring with her against him, that they were rigging this. And, of course, we had other people who were in the Democrat Party at the local level, at the college level, saying, we know, back in North Carolina, I talked to a guy, he said, we know that the official Democrat Party is sabotaging our events. We find out at about an event, and they come in and they sabotage it. They tell us the event is off, for example, and then we don't show up representing Bernie Sanders, yet the Hillary Clinton people show up. Dirty politics, dirty tricks like that, just like they played dirty tricks against us using the IRS, using these other institutions. That's the nature of the game. Donald Trump is going to confront her on that.
Now we are introducing a new T-shirt, which I think folks need to get, telling the real truth about Bill Clinton, who is a serial rapist and a user of women.
In another case, it's about groping and fondling and touching against a woman's will.
And rape.
And rape.
Bill rapes them physically, and then Hillary rapes them psychologically.
He's a rapist.
Absolutely.
He's a public figure. He can go straight to hell.
Get your Bill Clinton rape shirt today at InfoWarsStore.com or call 1-800-253-3139.